Thank you, Mark.
This is a process of we're analyzing, looking in our areas, and we're trying to move people in the safest way we can. We started phase 1 of reentry. We're working on phase 2, but phase 2 will not be complete until we're sure that the areas are safe. One of the most important things that we continue to emphasize is safety. We want to protect lives, and we don't want anyone to be in a situation where their life is threatened. We have questions at this time. Yes, sir.
The fire pit is 30% containment now for 48 hours, 36 hours or so. Does that mean that progress hasn't been made, or that just this number hasn't been updated? New assessment hasn't been done?
Okay. That's a good point. We always get that because some people say, wait a minute, you're still reporting the same number. What is the process of determining containment? Mike, you want to explain that?
As I had mentioned I think an earlier visit that we had, containment is there because we're absolutely sure for that amount that the fire will not grow or increase or cross what we call our control line. Absolutely certain, sure, takes a while. This fire is 18 miles long and 6 miles wide in places. That's 50 miles of perimeter. 30% of 50 miles is not bad for the work that these crews have done out there. That's for sure and certain. We're still concerned about the other 70%. We may be inching toward that as we get our crews in this evening so we can debrief them, find out what they're comfortable with. There's obviously no way for us in this building to be able to make that prediction. I need division supervisors and the branch directors to come in here and let us know exactly what they've accomplished during the shift. It's slow, it's methodical, it's 34,000 acres.
When would it be updated? Tomorrow morning?
We'll update it as soon as I get it, and we'll update at the news conference tomorrow.
What time do you expect the DC-10 will be flying over Bastrop?
The DC-10, Friday morning, is that tomorrow?
Do you know what time?
That's all I got. Yeah, tomorrow morning. You'll hear it.
This is an area. Mr. Fisher, what difference are you expecting for the DC-10 to make as far as the containment tomorrow?
We actually will describe the mission by the crews that come in on the night shift. The DC-10 is just an enormous amount of retardant. That's the pink stuff that you've seen on TV. The crews that come in overnight are going to tell us those places that they still think that they need to treat with that. So that's sort of a just-in-time decision. The expense of that DC-10 is quite large, and we want to use our resources wisely. So we'll decide by beginning shift tomorrow where we'll drop and how many times we'll drop.
On that map, can you tell me where the containment area is?
From this map up here, I cannot, but there's a map out in front that delines.
It shows the containment area.
Yes, it does. It shows it shows the 34,000 acres I'm talking about. The containment area would be to the north, generally to the north end. And let me mention this: it is not necessarily contiguous and continuous. It's places along the fire line.
Jared, can you talk about if you're still having issues with people trying to drive over the barricades, and if you have made any arrests because of that?
First of all, in response to your first question, we haven't had any issues again since yesterday. There has not been any arrests. As Mike mentioned earlier, we've had to make some adjustments, some real minor adjustments on where we announced our barricades were going to be this morning as part of the first phase of the reentry process. And actually the only adjustment that we made is out here on 21. We backed that barricade up from Pineview Estates to Loop 150 simply because traffic started flowing through. Both lanes of traffic were extremely congested. People chose to ignore the signs that said no through traffic, and consequently we had lots of large tractor trailer rigs trying to get up there, and then there was no place for them to turn around, so we had to make an adjustment there. But that doesn't necessarily affect or that doesn't affect the people in those neighborhoods off of South Shore and Pine View Estates. They still have access through Hoffman Road to get there. So, but other than that, everything's been really going pretty smooth today.
When's phase 2 going to start?
Phase 2 reentry is something that that we're continuing to discuss and make plans for. A lot of that is contingent upon the fire behavior, the weather conditions, what the fire service people are telling us as far as when certain areas are safe. But we are continuing our discussions and our planning for phase 2.
Will they continue with the police presence in neighborhoods to prevent looting throughout the night?
Absolutely.
Can one of you please talk about the damage assessment and how you're updating the number of houses that are destroyed, because that number shot up considerably today?
That's a good point. Individuals will ask, now wait a minute, you're reporting 576. You reported 576 for a long period of time, but when I look, it goes up almost to 1,400. What has happened is, on yesterday, we actually had FEMA staff, we've had emergency management, and we had local residents, not residents, but individuals from the community, to be able to walk the areas, analyze what's going on, and come back with more of a hard number. We were able to go into the areas that weren't as hot and be able to go house to house and be able to change those numbers. And that's why it went up so drastically.
How confident are you that that's a pretty accurate number, give or take a little bit?
Now that number will increase. That number will increase as the areas are cooling down and we're able to get in. We'll be able to get in and assess more houses. Even in FEMA, in getting their records, they weren't able to get in to Tahitian completely. So therefore, that number will increase. And the reason we stuck at 576 because we didn't have individuals going in and actually walking those areas. And we had that on yesterday.
So what will your list